Welcome back, everybody. My name's APrater54, aka Adam, coach of the McChesney Park Slowpokes, and today I bring you the draft analysis for FBL, the Final Battle League. The commissioner of this league is Kiwee, coach of Team Tempest, and Bishmii, coach of the Trash Town Thievals. This is upload required, so we're doing the draft analysis for this. This was a point draft. I was second pick overall. I believe we had a budget of 115 for a minimum of 10 picks, max of 11. And without further ado, well, spoiler alert, Dragapult went first. So, I ended up getting the next best thing. This league allowed Ursula single strike. Being able to punch through people protecting, King's Shield, detect, obstruct is absolutely massive. And the fact that it gets Wicked Blow that crits guaranteed, unless they're shell armor or battle armor. This forces a lot of teams to maximize in their defensive bulk as well as get a defensive fairy, which also applies a lot of pressure when concerning prep. So all in all, it gets access to the elemental punches, close combat, U-turn, poison jab. Gets access to sucker punch if it wants to pick stuff off. This thing, Choice Bandit, just spreads an entire team. And I believe it's 163 max speed at level 50 if it's Jolly, which isn't bad for its speed tier. This thing just hits hard. Well, I was thinking, okay, so I'm fighting Dark. I need a fighting resist. I need a fairy resist. I decided to cover my fighting resist with my next pick, which is the very versatile mon that is Necrozma. This gets access to Stealth Rock, Screens, gets access to Future Sight, Automize, Dragon Dance, can be physical or special. Its ability is Prism Armor, which decreases the damage of super effective moves, which allows this to be a good setup sweeper. Basically, if you want to kill this, you either got to hit it hard or have it be stabbed with Dark, Bug, Ghosts. And just, yeah, you got to kill it or else it makes you punish. This either gets access to Psychic Terrain, which I can use to cut off priority. This gets access to Meteor Beam to allow itself to get a free special attack with Power Herb. This gets access to Knockoff as well to remove items. This gets access to Morning Sun and Moonlight to heal itself based off of the weather. Sometimes it does more, sometimes it does less. This gets access to Earthquake, Iron Head, quite a few physical coverage. And it also gets a lot of access to special coverage. This is able to hit all of its weaknesses pretty hard, which is amazing. Granted, this isn't exactly the fastest mon, but this mon's incredibly bulky. And it can be a defensive pivot. It could be a rocker. Basically, it can do anything you need it to do. Alright, so now I'm a little weak to Bug. I still don't like Fairy. So round 3, I got a mon that I haven't used before. I've used its counterpart in Draft League, but I've never used Nidoqueen. It's slightly slower, but it still gets access to Sheer Force. But for the speed it lacks compared to Nidoking, it has bulk. This has access to Stealth Rocks, access to Toxic Spikes, access to Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, Earth Power, Sludge Wave. Gets access to a physical pool of Bulldoze, Earthquake, quite a few things, even Poison Jab. So this can be physical or special depending on the situation. But with it being sheer force boosted, that's absolutely amazing. I need to real quick. I forgot its other ability besides sheer force. And I had it pulled up. Okay, so we've got Poison Point, which poisons if they make contact with this. So I can run a Rocky Helmet variant and punish them for physical moves and just be a defensive check the entire game. And this also gets Rivalry. Basically, if the opponent is male, the attack and special attack of my moves that I use are increased by 25% if they're male, and decreases by 25% if they're female, but Nidoqueen's female only. So that's the way around that. But having sheer force and access to hazards is absolutely amazing. So I look forward to actually using this mon. It's very bulky. This is a fighting resist, a bug resist, I believe a steel resist as well. So, it's a rock resist as well because of the ground typing. But yeah, that's our pick number 4. Oh, I forgot to say this. Their point value. I got Urshifu Single Strike for 20 points, Necrozma for 16, Nidoqueen for 13. Alright, so now I'm like, I need a somewhat ground resist, an ice resist, and a water resist, as well as a slight fighting resist. Well, all of those are covered by one mon. I unfortunately got sniped of the other one I wanted. So I got the Hustle mon, Durant. This thing hits super hard as long as its moves land. Durant is, I believe, incredibly fast as well. With access to Stomping Tantrum, First Impression, which goes first every time it comes in. It gets access to Iron Head, Steel Beam. It gets access to Metal Burst, Struggle Bug. This also gets access to Baton Pass, so it can actually pivot out on its own. This gets access to Entrainment to take my opponent's ability away and give them Hustle and maybe they miss their physical moves. This gets access to Bug Bite that'll eat their berry that they're holding, so that'll bypass that. Gets access to Crunch, X Scissor, and I believe Stone Edge as well. I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, it gets Thunderfang. Yep, it gets Thunderfang as well, and it also gets Shadow Claw. Well, all in all, this mon's coverage is pretty amazing. It's just, you don't want this to get burned. But with 177 speed and 177 attack and 180 defense, this is the defensive pivot. Problem is, it's frail on its Spadess side, so this can easily just get Focus Blasted to oblivion. Or take an Earth Power and just die, if it's strong enough. But, it's my first time using Durant, so I look forward to this. I got Durant for 9 points. And on to our next mon. I've used this once before in another league, and it was very reliable for me. I ended up getting the Water Absorb Mon Volcanion. This is a water immunity, a ×4 resist to fire, a ×4 resist to ice. It resists to grass. This mon's got access to defog. It's got a move called Steam Eruption that is a 50% chance to burn if it hits, which is amazing. This gets access to Sludge Wave, I believe Scorching Sands. Has physical coverage as well, and it can be Flame Charge, Flare Blitz, Giga Impact. Quite a few hard-hitting moves. Problem is, this thing doesn't like rocks, so it kind of makes it forced to run boots. But it's worth it if this is a defogger, especially to get away terrain. This thing hits like a truck. Give or take their opponent's investment. But yeah, this can just swing momentum. Say I have a rain matchup, this thing just goes in because of the water absorb, so they gotta actually get completely walled by this. Sand kinda choose this, but if you get rid of the Sand Setter, this can just go in. And the Sand Abuser. But yeah, Volcanion is just an overall good mon. Around the time Arcanine was still up there, so was Entei, and I decided I want to try this. Like, I've used Arcanine and Entei in my last two upload leagues, and I'm like, let's change it up. But yeah, that's our round 5. Our round 6, I got another defogger. And this thing gets access to Poltergeist, as well as Sucker Punch, Shadow Sneak, Swords Dance. This gets Feather Dance. All in all, Decidueye is just a fun mon to just tease your opponent with. This thing is incredibly bulky. It chews Earthquakes. Like, absolutely chews. It's bulky on both its SPDF and physical side, and it hits hard. It's not exactly the fastest, but what wants to switch into this if you bring this in on a water type? Not a whole lot. And then they risk switching into a ghost type move, and I've seen this thing with the choice band just drop things. It just hits hard. It also gets access to Brave Bird, Leaf Blade, which has a chance to crit. So this mon, I look forward to using. I haven't used it in draft. I have been absolutely bodied by this mon with the right set. Oh, this thing's amazing. You can run really slow to counter Trick Room, depending on matchup base. This thing with the Scarf also hits hard. Like, it's slow, but it's still pretty fast if you put a Scarf on it. I believe it's 120 max speed, and that's 180 with the Scarf, which isn't bad. But that's our boy Decidueye. Volcanion was 12, Decidueye was 10. Alright, so I was looking at my speed tiers, and I was like, I need just enough speed, and I need something that has access to be able to set Tailwind, have Defog, can be a massive special threat, because a lot of my team, if you look at it so far, is physical. Well, I got Noivern for 11 points. Covers all that stuff I just listed off. Dragon Flying. It's a ×4 weak to Ice, which Ursula, Durant, and Volcanion resists. which is fine. But this gives me access to Flamethrower, Boom Burst, Hurricane, which is Stab, Draco Meteor. This gets U-Turn, so it's able to pivot out on its own. This gets access to Roost. All in all, this is a good mon. Defog, Tailwind, you name it. There's a couple fun sets you can run with this, like Boom Burst Throat Spray, and then just drop Dracos, and then you're only at -1 special attack. Or you can just increase your special attack and sweep from there. I believe this also gets Dragon Dance. There's a physical variant, which is, to me, it looks really fun to run. It does get a few good physical moves to take advantage of the Dragon Dance. It's just, its physical attack isn't the best. Even with that +1, it still doesn't hit very hard. But I look forward to using Noivern. I believe it was worth the 11 points. Alright, so now I'm looking at my team, and I'm like, you know what? I need a cleric. I need something that can heal status. I need something that can overall pass a wish to my team that is incredibly bulky. I do not know why this was still sitting here in round 8. But for 14 points, I got the cutest thing possible and my wife's favorite, Sylvanon. Though she prefers the non-shiny, but I love the inverted colors of the shiny. Sylvanon gets access to Wish, Baton Pass, Mystical Fire, Psyshock to bypass poison types with an Assault Vest. This gets Boom Blast, Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice is 30% boosted by Pixelate, which is absolutely amazing because that hits harder than Moonblast actually does. Because it's base 90 plus the 30% on top of it. And it just hits hard. This with the choice specs I've seen do like 30 to 40% to a steel type with a fairy move, which is absolutely insane. This thing is very Spadef bulky, which fills what I need it to do because I have defensive bulk on the rest of the team. This can be my wall. This can be my cleric. This gets access to Heal Bell to remove all the status from my team. Oh no. I look so forward to finally using Sylvanon. Like, this is my first time actually being able to draft it. And I am shocked I got it round 8. I just hope I'm able to actually do well with it. A lot of these mons, except for the top 2, I barely used. So I look forward to it. And, okay, so next I need the requirement of I need bulk, I need hazards, and I need a mon that just doesn't care. Taunt me, whatever. I don't care. This also is another mon that has access to Toxic, can remove items. The mon I'm talking about, for 5 points, which is actually a steal, especially because it gets sticky webs, is Shuckle. Oh my god. I walled people with this so much in BDSP, and I never used it in Sword and Shield. And I actually have a newfound love for this mon. Like, it is just beefy, and it just doesn't care. You taunt it. Okay, I knock off your item. Woo. Did you really win that trade? Not necessarily. Especially if you had like a damage boosting item. Well, now you just lost that. This gets access to Shell Smash and Contrary, so we can just make itself incredibly beefy defensive-wise. Gets access to Wrap and Infestation and Rest. There is a really, really toxic set that I am not going to probably ever run of Rest, Wrap, Shell Smash, and Toxic. Basically, if you don't run Taunt, this mon just sits there in front of you, doesn't die, and it just keeps recovering with leftovers. And then if you status it, it just heals it back with Rest, and then it sits there for 2 turns without you being able to kill it. But yeah, that's Shuckle. Alright, so I have 10 points left. I can get either a 10-point mon and have a team of 10, or I can split it between 2 and maximize my potential. Now, what's better than 1 Sheer Force mon? That's 2. This is the physical Sheer Force. Nidoqueen is the special. But this also gets access to Intimidate, which is amazing. This thing with the Life Orb and Body Slam just chunks things. I've 2-shot a Mudsdale with this thing, even with stamina, which is insane. Because the first one did 60%, the second one did 40%. And then the Mudsdale's just gone. Adamant Tauros just hits hard with Sheer Force and Life Orb. This even has slightly enough special attack to do some damage with Ice Beam, Flamethrower, Thunder. But you'd have to run a lot of invests to do a lot of damage. But it can. You can catch a Dragon type off guard with Ice Beam. Like, for example, Noivern or Dragonite. And they think they're fine. And next thing you know, just dead. Which is kind of cool. This even gets access to Earthquake and Wild Charge, too. So it can actually hit a lot of things pretty hard. At the cost of its Life Orb recoil. Which still is fine. This also gets Bulldoze, which basically is the same power as Earthquake. You just don't lose the Life Orb recoil. But yeah, Tauros is so fun. You just come in and you just smack things. And with its speed being incredibly high, cool. Come in, do some damage, go until it dies. That's what Tauros is here for. But to round off our draft, because I have 4 points left, I was like, why not get another Wish Passer? And I don't have an electric type yet. And I wanted something really fast. And I'm like, you know what? Let's get Jolteon for the first time. This gets access to Weather Ball, Shadow Ball, Double Kick to hit dark types. This gets access to Toxic, Reflect, I believe Light Screen as well. But yeah, this gets Discharge, Thunder. But mainly this is here for Wish and either Baton Pass to bait in an electric type move if they're going for a read, which heals myself in the process because of Lightning Rod. Sorry, Voltage Absorb. And then I pass the Wish to an injured ally, just like Sylvanon does. But this also gets Volt Switch to do some damage on the way out, which is absolutely amazing. Yeah, this team, it's bulky, and it hits hard, and it applies a lot of pressure and a lot of prep on my opponents. And honestly, I look forward to using it. I believe of the mons on here, I've used Urshifu, Necrozma, and Tauros the most. Volcanion I had for 4 games in one season. Everything else is going to be brand new. Oh, and I've used Shuckle for 2 games. Absolutely walled those 2 games and crippled my opponent. But anyways, that's the team. Look forward to week 1. I'm playing Delphin Squared, coach of the Red Spark Vikavolt. So that's going to be an interesting one. Like and subscribe if you haven't, and enjoy.